We are live, brother.
Folks, what is up? And welcome back to the Vol Talk podcast. You are here with myself, Blake. You're here with my brother, Austin. And we are here to talk all things volunteer sports. This is an unscripted podcast about the Tennessee Volunteers. And today, Austin, it is our solemn duty to discuss the heartbreaking loss that is the Georgia game. So we're going to be going into that. And we're going to be reviewing the game, talking about what went wrong. We're going to be talking about, hey, there is some reasons for optimism. Okay, we're usually, especially the past few weeks on this show, Austin, we've been happy, we've been smiling, we've been laughing. There's probably not going to be as much smiling and laughing on this show. We are going to talk a little bit about some reasons for optimism after this game. And then we do need a therapy session.
We
And
do.
of course, hey, now that Nico's not on our team anymore, Austin, he is delivering for us week after week. And so we're going to have a little bit of laugh at that situation yet again. Again, just as a little bit of therapy. Florida lost again as well. So we'll laugh at that. But otherwise, man, just a tough loss. And brother, you're worse for wear because you were there and you're barely hanging in.
Yeah, it's devastating, man. For our listeners out there, we've been doing this since the beginning of last football season. This is the toughest show. This is the toughest show. We've had some heartbreaking losses across all three sports, Blake, but this is going to be the toughest. This one's devastating, dude. In full transparency, did not want to do this today just because I don't want to rehash it all. But yeah, man, it was a tough one. It was a tough one.
Oh yeah, 100%. We don't want to have to do this. And in fact, I'm guessing that we're not going to have a lot of live viewers. One because we had to change our schedule today, so apologies for the late show. We had some scheduling conflicts, mainly for myself. So a little bit of a late show, but also I'm guessing that we're not going to have as many live viewers again because it's a tough one, so I don't blame you guys, but we got to talk about it, Austin. We got to talk about it, and we need our fellow Vols fans to get in here and cope with us. So, folks, share the stream, get the Vols fans in here. Let's have this therapy session together. Let's get through this, and we're gonna talk about it, talk about what went wrong, all that good stuff. So Austin, as usual, we want to please ask everyone to like and subscribe, right? So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video. It really helps us out. Jump in chat. I've already got chat is off to the races here. So glad to see that. Continue chatting with us again. This is going to be a therapy session partially,
It is.
in addition to review. So let us know your thoughts in the chat. And of course, share the stream if you can. Follow us on Spotify, folks. We are 2 followers away on Spotify from hitting 100 on Spotify, which is pretty cool to us. So we would appreciate that. But Austin, first and foremost as well, before we hop into it, I want to take just a minute to also say, obviously there is a heartbreaking loss that we have to cover in Tennessee football. But it's also been a very difficult week and kind of period of time in our country. And so we just want to say first and foremost that we love you guys. We love everyone of our listeners, of people who tune in. Even if you're not a Tennessee fan, look, even the trolls in the chat, the Georgia fans and the Florida fans and all that, even those trolls, we love you guys as well. The world needs to keep in mind the love of Jesus. And so we want to remind you guys of that we love you all. And right now, Austin, brother, we're just going to focus on talking about football. Yep. Because, man, no matter how crazy things get in the world, we can always just fall back on football. Ain't that right?
Yeah, just get our mind off things. Well said, brother. Yeah, and unfortunately, it would have been nicer to have a win for us, but hey, like you said, there's bigger things in life. And yeah, well said. So we'll just get into the sports.
That's what we're going to do. We are here to talk about volunteer football, baby. So that's what we're going to do. And look, Austin, we've lived through the dark years. Okay, so this loss sucks. And it's like I think you were telling. Listen, folks. I also have to say this: we were ranting and raving and getting all the expletives out before the show. Okay, we're not happy.
We are
Okay,
not
it's
happy. No.
devastating, and it is one of the most devastating losses in our memory. But we've been through the dark years, brother, and so
See,
again, we're going to talk about some reasons for optimism as well.
and yes, we are. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the game flow of things, how we got to the
Yeah.
loss. And again, there was good things to come out of it. I respect the Vols fans that can be immediately optimistic. I'm not one of those. I was absolutely gutted after the game. Just because
Yeah.
we had a chance. Hey, we had a chance to snap this losing streak against Georgia. Probably should have. Even Kirby Smart said that after the game. Tennessee probably should have won this football game, and I agree with them. And we didn't. And yeah, we proved we can play with the best of them. And again, that's part of the reasons for optimism. But after the game, dude, I wasn't ready for that message. I'll be honest. I was not ready for that message just because it was a gutting loss. And you go back to the dark ages, man, and all those tough losses. It was very clear to me. I was sitting in the student section with Callie. She got us some tickets, and it's very clear to me, dude, that a lot of these younger undergrads at UT haven't seen those heartbreaking losses, and they don't realize where this program was at some point. Because just to
Yeah.
get into a little bit of it, man, I was irritated at some of these fans who, dude, they were lining up before we hit the game winning kick or missed the game winning kick. Unfortunately, they were lining up at the stairs to go rush the field. I'm like, people, you need to get in your seats. What?
You got to
Like,
win the
do,
game,
do you
man.
not realize, like, you don't celebrate until triple zeros, man. You do not celebrate until triple
Yep.
zeros. Anything can happen in this game. That's the thing with the game of football, man. There's ups, there's downs, and sometimes you're on, the side where you're rushing the field against Alabama, and it's all the celebration, whatever, and then sometimes you miss game winning kicks, and this is the other side of that. But let's sit in our seats, stay put until we actually see us having more points at the end of the game.
Spoiled already, man. Spoiled already after, since 2022, just expecting to hit the game winners. And man, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, unfortunately, in the game of football and in the game of life.
Yeah,
That's how it is.
that's how it is, man.
That's how it is. So, but yeah, a lot of fans don't. A lot of those younger fans don't remember the dark years. Reminiscent. The Austin, you'll remember this immediately. The thing that keeps coming to my mind is Pig Howard,
Yeah.
and his fumble through the end zone.
Oh yeah.
Less
Another
than a
one
yard
against
away,
Georgia,
right?
man.
Exactly, against Georgia. Anyway, so look, Austin and I have been through the dark years. We know a lot of you all have been through the dark years. But this
Probably
one
all of
this
our
one hurts.
listeners.
Yeah, probably all of our listeners. But this one hurts. So we're
This
gonna
one,
go through
yeah.
all of it, guys. So Austin, we'll go into again what went wrong. Before we do that, I want to catch up on chat here because chat is off to the races. So let me just quickly check in on chat. We've got Austin's wife, Callie, in the chat. She is in mourning. We all are, Callie. We all are. Rhonda in the chat immediately. Rhonda, glad you could join us. I guess our late start today allowed you to join us, so you're welcome. Glad you're here. She says probably going to need meds after yesterday. My heart rate is still up. Yeah, I think we're all probably going to need some blood pressure meds. Austin needs a lot of meds. His voice is dying. He's sunburned, almost gone sun poisoning. His blood pressure is probably still up. Austin's going to need to be heavily medicated. Callie says Austin was victimized by Neyland Stadium. Yeah, it's worse for wear, brother. But you did your best. You did your best.
I
Herb
gave
in the
my
chat
all.
here. You gave your all. Herb is already hitting us with a question. Austin, he says, does the showing by the Vols yesterday change your prediction for the rest of the season? So actually, I think, Herb, what I would like to do is table that, Austin, if you are good with that too, because we're going to talk about, after we talk about what went wrong, we're going to review the game, all that good stuff. We're going to go into a reasons for optimism section, and we'll go into that, Herb, about, how it changes the outlook for the season. Spoiler, honestly, it might even change it for the positive. We'll see. Lynn says that game proved we can play with anybody. Lynn going straight to the point, and that Joey Aguilar is the real deal. Austin, I think we
Absolutely.
are going to talk about that and the reasons for optimism as well. Um, and Herb agrees with Lynn. And then Rhonda says, try going to your class reunion after that game. Yeah, it'd be tough. And then Rhonda saying we didn't get beat down like what has happened before, so there's hope. I understand, but it still stinks. Yeah, so we'll definitely go into that. But Austin, first, let's talk about the game. Give us a breakdown of the kind of the flow of the game, and we'll go into all that.
Could have started off better. I mean, the first drive of the game, we go down, score immediately, but then the defense does the same, right? They give up a touchdown immediately as well. Then we get up 21-7 after Joe was just out there slinging it. And yeah, ultimately, and it looked like it was starting to slip, man. And that's why it's so eerie of my prediction beforehand saying this is going to play out like 2022 Alabama, because it's literally the similarities are insane, dude. Like you
Yeah,
get up, you
really.
get up big early, which is exactly what happened in that game. And then Georgia came back, Alabama came back in that 2022 game. And if you remember when Bama got the scoop and score in that game and it felt like it was
Yeah.
over. Set
Oh yeah.
very, very similar in this game, right? Georgia is starting to just run it down our throats, and we couldn't get anything going on offense. So then it just felt like it was starting to slip. But then we came back, man. It came back, and there's a couple key moments that we have to focus on, I think, to kind of tell the story of the game. I'll start by saying the blame can't be put on one player or one coach. I think there's so many little things that led to us ultimately blowing this game. That's how I would describe it, because it's a game that we should have won, we should have had in hand. There's so many little things that led to that, and there's definitely blame to go around. And I mean, it starts with the fact that Blake, continuing on the parallel with 2022 Alabama, you had a 43-yard field goal to win it. Now, and a lot of people will blame the kicker. I think that's unfair. It's an extremely difficult situation. Obviously, I mean, we saw the picture of him before kicking the kick. He looked horrified. And I don't blame him. It was a huge moment. Like, you have a chance to break through, break this Georgia curse, which is kind of like the last remaining thing that Heupel hasn't done yet, outside of some of the road victories. But yeah, so I get it. I get that. The operation leading to the kick, though, Blake, was a huge problem. And that's where I think I think that was the second coaching mistake of the game. And I'll get into the other one in a minute. We'll kind of work backwards to front here. So so we go out with 7 seconds left. And I'm already thinking it's kind of risky to go out and try to run a play with 7 seconds left, Blake, because, something could go wrong. The clock could run out. You don't have a chance to take a timeout. And then it's like, well, if you're just going to knee it, or you're going to go like QB sneak and quickly call a timeout, I get it. Like, you want to run it out completely so they don't have a chance. Then we get a false start. Now, I was at the stadium. I haven't seen the replay of the false start, and I'm sure it actually happened. To me, I'm salty in the stadium, so I'm thinking, I mean, it feels like the ref has his hand on his hip and he's just waiting to throw something. And I'll get into that as well. The refs were not good in this game. They were not.
Yeah.
But we get this false start, and then Heupel sends out the field goal unit, and I'm just like, if your logic is literally the play before that, you just want to go out there, run another
Right.
play and set it up and call a timeout, then you would do that again whether you get a false start or not. So why didn't
Mm-hmm.
you do that? And he chose to run Max out there, and it kind of created this icing situation where you go out there. You could have sent him out there immediately, and you risk, 3 seconds left. Georgia has a chance at a kick return or a Hail Mary situation, whatever. Very unlikely that happens, though. You could have sent him out there immediately, which was kind of what I was leaning towards. Or you could have went with the same philosophy, right, Blake? You go out there, you let Joey do like a little 1-yard run, get down, set up the kicker, and then send him out. It felt like taking the penalty and then sending him out was probably the worst way to handle that situation. And I
Right.
get it. It's a difficult situation, and like it's a tough call. And I get all that, man, but it felt like it was handled poorly by Heupel. It did. It felt like it was managed poorly. And he had some great ups in this game as well, but that was one of the downs that was like it was managed poorly. I think the biggest coaching mistake though, Blake, came earlier in the game, which is what I felt like, which this is devastating. I'll just admit to people. Like, obviously, I have a podcast about the Vols. I love the Vols very much, and I want them to win. When we get the strip sack and the fumble recovery, I thought in my mind we'd won the game because that's right after Aguilar just went down and threw another bomb to Brazzle to go up 35-30. And we get the ball in Georgia territory off the strip sack. I thought the game was going to be over, even though I knew there was a chance it wasn't. But I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, man, like Aguilar, has he been absolutely perfect? No, but I would still, with how he's played, like I would trust him to go down and try to put this game away. If you go down and score in that situation, Blake, the game's over. It's essentially over. You're up by 2 touchdowns with probably with the time running out, probably less than 5 minutes at that point, with more clock running. So the game is essentially over at that point. Heupel goes run, 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 and we kick a field goal. And I felt like that was not an acceptable way to handle that situation. And apparently in the post game, he said that they had a really good play called on third down and it wasn't executed correctly. My rebut to that would be, and Heupel knows infinitely more about football than me. Okay, he does.
Sure.
I'm not an X and O's guy. Like I get it, but my rebut to that would be you don't have the best run blocking offensive line. Now, I'll get into reasons for optimism. They were fantastic pass blocking. Okay. So don't think I'm just crapping on the O line here. They were good last game, but they've missed running block assignments in the past. So that has to go into the equation when you're deciding, okay, are we going to run or pass, and let our quarterback, who has literally could not have showed up for the moment more than Joey Aguilar did last game. Like he couldn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, he just couldn't have. So, like in my eyes, I'm putting the ball in what I believe is our best player's hands, and you're letting him go put this game away on third down. But even on second down, Blake, nothing will drive. If you watch a game, if any of y'all ever witness me watch a game, if we do watch alongs one day or whatever, nothing will drive me crazy more than 2nd and 10 run plays, man. I think it's a bad offensive philosophy to run the ball on 2nd and 10. I do. Especially when you're playing Georgia, who was really stout against us in the run game yesterday, Blake. They have a really good defensive line, a lot of depth, and really good at stopping the run. That was part of our preview, Blake. We said this team is really good at stopping the run. They have really good linebackers. They have depth
Yep.
on the defensive line. So why run the ball on 2nd and 10? Like, best case scenario probably is a 3-yard run, and then you set up 3rd and 7. I would much rather give the quarterback an opportunity to get a first down or get a little 5-yard pass to set up an even more manageable third down than just run the ball in that situation. So that drive, to me, Blake, that offensive drive was absolutely in my eyes, Heupel's worst coaching moment of this game, and honestly one of the worst in his career. Maybe that's partly me just being like in the moment, whatever, recency bias, but I really felt like he didn't handle that drive well.
I tend to agree with you, and I think obviously, as you said, we're not $1 million coaches, and also it's a whole different ball game, no pun intended, when you're actually in the heat of the moment trying to make these decisions, right? But as Herb says here in the chat, it says Heupel should have been or should have stayed more aggressive. Lamones says Coach Banks shouldn't have left Ty Redmond on an island all night. Rookie needed help. We'll talk about the defense here in a second because that's one of the things that went wrong.
Definitely.
Excuse me, obviously. But it's like, yeah, when you've got this monkey on your back that is Georgia, the Georgia streak, and you've got nothing to lose, literally, because it's like, and maybe he's thinking he's trusting his defense, whatever, and maybe he also follows the analytics. I don't know. Maybe that was what the numbers said was the best chance for us to win the ball game. But it just feels like, I tend to agree with Urban. It feels like he should have been more aggressive and, played to win the game instead of playing not to lose the game. Is that fair?
On that in particular drive, yes, he should have been more aggressive. The last drive, I have no problem with. I mean, the last drive, Blake, and this
Sure.
is again the heartbreaking part of this, man. I was so excited to get on here and just take the victory lap of a lifetime, man. It was literally
I
setting up
know.
to be our
I
greatest
know.
moment on Vol Talk, man. That's one of the number one sucky thing is we lost the game. Number two sucky thing is probably that for me, because dude, the last drive of the game, which we'll never get credit for this because we missed the game-winning kick. And again, I'm not trying to pour it on Max. No one feels worse right now about missing that kick than Max. That's the thing. And like even us as fans, and nobody should be messaging the kid or doing any stupid crap like that on social media. Leave him alone. He's a great kicker. He's an absolutely great kicker. And I don't blame him for folding in that moment. But we'll never get credit, Blake, for running it down Georgia's throat the last drive. I mean, people, keep in mind, and I get it's like a lot of us are in a negative headspace right now, and I understand that. But Blake, 2 minutes left, and first of all, Joey had a absolute crucial 3rd and 8 pass to continue that final drive. But after he hits that pass, we had like 10 straight runs to get in field goal range, man. It was we did to Georgia what teams used to do to us, or what Georgia does to other teams, Blake. We just ran it right down people's throats to set ourselves up to get a game-winning field goal, man. It didn't happen. We missed the kick, whatever. But that's just one of those things, and you could say it's a reason for optimism, but it's just it's brutal too because it's just like, dang man, dang. Like I don't know. It was cool to see until it wasn't, kind of deal. And here's the thing too, and here's a part of like where things gone wrong, Blake. And we do need to get into the defense and Ty Redmond, and I still believe in Redmond and things like that. But here's the thing with OT. For one, if you're at the undermanned team, which I think we still are slightly against Georgia, it's very
Sure.
close though. It's very close. We saw that
Yeah,
yesterday.
it's closer than it used to be. That's
It's
for sure.
way closer than it used to be, and we all know the injuries, and that's another factor. Again, that's why it's several factors, people. It's not just Heupel, it's not just Max Gilbert, it's not just injuries, it's not just refs. It's all of that combined, which is amazing. You have all that combined, and we still lose by 3 in overtime. But point being, in overtime, Blake, part of it is okay, depth, whatever. The better team usually wins in overtime. But dude, part of it is when you have a game-winning kick opportunity that's like it's essentially a gimme field goal. It's a 43-yard attempt. He's not even on a hash. It's a gimme field goal. And you miss that, it's so deflating, man. That's the entire stadium, including the team, was completely deflated, dude. Absolutely deflated from that.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get back up as the team that missed the kick because Georgia just got new life, man. Georgia just got
Of
new
course.
life injected into them because they expected this. I mean, the stadium was completely silent. It's not like he even has to hit it on the road. It's a kick everyone expected to go in the uprights, especially since Max Gilbert is a really good kicker. But then
Mhm.
Georgia gets new life, man, and we're deflated. We're like, dang, now we have to go out and win in overtime. We also lost the toss in overtime, which is, part of Kirby maybe potentially selling his soul to win football. Anyway, it's one of those things. It's
Voodoo,
like,
yeah.
it's one of those things. But yeah, man, it was tough. And and I don't blame them for being deflated. We were deflated as fans. It was hard to make noise in overtime because we're so absolutely deflated that we missed that kick and Georgia has new life and whatnot. It's tough, man. It was absolutely tough.
You even said that some fans nearby, some Vols fans, made you think that he made it at first because you were in the stadium, and so just the emotional roller coaster of being on that high and then coming down to the lowest of lows when he misses it. Yeah, it's tough, and now you're just anxious because we're in overtime and you don't want to lose the game. We want to break this streak against Georgia. It's a tough situation all around. And so, man, like you said, I think you made the best point, which is that there's so many different factors that went into it, and we're about to get into part of these different factors, and the fact that it was so close, and we played. Georgia's obviously one of the best teams in the country, and so there are, again, reasons for optimism. We're about to get into that, folks. But man, Austin, it's just God, dude. it couldn't be any tougher for a Vol fan to, like you said, the parallel to Alabama in
Yeah,
2022, right? As
I know,
well.
man.
And then boom, we're on the other end and we
I
miss it.
know. I know.
I'm gonna catch up on chat here real quick. Welcome, Jace, back to the Vol Talk podcast. Jace is a friend of the program, Buckeyes fan, but he has adopted the Vols as his number 2 team. Welcome, Jace. It says tough L, but they'll learn from it. Vols Elite Zone YouTube YT. First time I'm seeing you in the Vol Talk podcast chat. Welcome, says Go Big Orange. Thank you for joining the Vol Talk podcast. Jeff Harper, a Dogs fan, says, as a Dogs fan, I feel bad for the Vols kicker, but the Kirby death match in OT was vintage Georgia. Yeah, Austin alluded to, hey, maybe maybe Kirby has done a little selling of his soul to win football games. I don't know. Hard fought game. Congrats to the Dogs. Welcome to the Dogs fans in the chat. We assumed that we'd have a few
We
Georgia
did.
trolls, so we appreciate the constructive conversation, Jeff. There, yeah, it's tough. Obviously, as Vols fans, we're also upset at the kicker. But yeah, you can't. I mean, gosh, what an absolutely nerve-wracking moment for him. JD Down says, as a Georgia fan, I think this game should give you hope for the season. Y'all went blow for blow with the Dogs and absolutely won that game everywhere except on the scoreboard. Appreciate that, JD. Hey, we're gonna talk about that in a second. The reasons for optimism, and honestly, JD, I think we may end up seeing Georgia again down the road this season. We will
Very
see.
possible. Very
And JD
possible.
JD says definitely want no part of Tennessee again this season. Yeah, so obviously Georgia is still one of the best teams in the country, but Austin, I think we definitely showed that we are right there now, which is again we're alluding to this next season section. But before we do that, Austin, I want to talk about the defense because that to me was the most frustrating part was the
Yeah.
defense. Now, Herb made a great point. I think it was Herb about, or no, Lamone's made a great point about, hey, Ty Redmond's a freaking freshman, man, and
True
we're
freshman.
down injuries, right? We're
Yeah.
injury ridden, especially on defense. So we needed to help the freshman. Huge game for him as a freshman, but just in general, Austin, the defense was getting gobsmacked at times.
It was at points in the game. Yeah, there's so many things to talk about on defense. Ty Redmond for sure is a talking point. It's hard to imagine Jamon McCoy couldn't have had an impact on this game, Blake, and some of the situations that played out, particularly the 4th and 6 pass to tie the game for Georgia, the 4th and 6 touchdown pass. I'll also say we have to mention, because we mentioned in the previous show how it seems that some quarterbacks against us have career games and just play the best football they've ever played. That happened again, Blake. I mean, in Gunnar Stockton's entire career, he had 3 big time throws throughout his entire career. Big time throws, a metric from PFF, best throws in football. That's the simplest way to put it. He had 3 of those in his entire career. He had 3 against us on Saturday. So he tied his career total in one game against us. I mean, it's weird, man. It's tough because and for people that don't understand big time throws, that's not like a defensive thing either. It's a lot of big time throws are measured by tight windows, meaning there was good coverage, but the quarterback just made a better throw. And give credit to him. He stepped up in that moment in a really tough environment, and he does deserve credit for that. But as a Vol fan, seeing this time and time again, it's very frustrating and feels unlucky when this seems to happen. This seems to be a theme, Blake, of that taking place. Now, to be critical of the defense, um, Ty Redmond had an extremely tough assignment, and they were putting him on an island, and he did not have a very good game. Colton Hood didn't have his best game either, although I don't think he was. He wasn't that bad. He was. It wasn't like he was bad. He was more so just average in this game. The biggest issue that I think all of us agree on is the run defense. The run defense is not the same as it has been the last few years, and a part of that is defensive line depth. Right now, we have a couple key defensive linemen out at the moment. But even with those guys in, it's not as good as it was last year. And that was kind of some of the back-breaking drives in this game where Georgia said, we're just gonna run it down their throat, and they did it. Now I do have to slightly disagree with Jeff in the chat on the OT run, and I'm listen. Credit to the Dogs, y'all won. Good job, you won in Neyland, whatever. But part of the officiating in this game wasn't the best at times, Blake. And the OT run, that kind of the quote death march, it, it was a clear holding. I would just encourage you go and look at the screenshots from Twitter. I mean, it's blatant holding that wasn't called, and it happened a few times in the game. But I told people at the game, like when you call an inside run and it breaks the outside, there's almost always holding. Yeah, like almost always, because the linemen have to completely change the leverage of their block, and you have the defensive lineman going with the running back who's cutting the outside. The linemen are expecting the inside run, so they have to change the leverage, and they almost always hold. It's exactly what happened on this play. Dominic Bailey got absolutely. I mean, his horse. I mean, literally just grabbed right here and just pulled down. I mean, that's what happened, and it's whatever. There's missed calls in games. I'm not taking credit from Georgia, but let's tell the story how it played out. Like it's fair. It's one play. It didn't change the game. Like if we hit the kick, we never go in overtime, right? Or if Heupel puts the game away on that one drive I referred to earlier, then we don't go into overtime. Like, but you know, let's not get carried away. It wasn't a death march. It was a clear holding that was missed. I'm just gonna let's at least be honest about it. Okay, I can be honest and say my team made a lot of mistakes. The run defense wasn't good. We had some bad coaching errors, and like ultimately it all led to us not taking care of business. But part of it is the obvious misholding call.
Yeah, you gotta, and obviously as Vols fans, we're gonna be more in tune with the missed calls that go,
of course.
Against our favor, right?
And I'm sure there was some on the other side as well.
Sure, but I mean the proof's in the pudding, right? Yeah. It's on video, the missed holding. There was also, I think it was on one of those interceptions, Austin, if I'm not mistaken, some pretty clear missed defensive pass interference.
It wasn't the best. It wasn't the ref's best game, Blake. I'll just put it like that. And it's not the number one reason we lost. Don't misinterpret my words. It's just like, and again, as a fan, and y'all know this, even the Dogs fans in the chat know this, when you're in a tight game, you notice these things. And I think
because it becomes more important.
Yeah, it does. It becomes more important. Exactly. That's a great way of putting it, Blake. It's the margins are so thin in a tough SEC matchup like this. And I think the worst one we haven't even talked about yet was actually a defensive pass interference against us. I believe it was called against Ty Redmond. For one, it wasn't even a catchable football. It was 5 yards out of bounds, which again, this is written in the rules, Blake. It is written in the rules. It is not defensive pass interference if the ball is not catchable. Simple as that. It is not. It wasn't a catchable football. And plus, I don't even think the contact warranted the catch. I mean, honestly, I'm blanking on when that happened, but I think it was their game-tying drive. So pretty critical moment to mess something like that up. It was on first down, but still, man. And again, I don't want to make it about the referees, because I think if I listen again, our tune, this show, we wouldn't have Georgia fans in the chat right now if Max Gilbert hits his kick. And again, don't want to pour on Max Gilbert, but our look on the season, how we're feeling today, how we'll feel the rest of the week. Again, all of it changes if one kick is hit. But that's the job of the kicker, right? They play in the most critical moments of the games.
You got one job, right? And so you gotta be able to have the ice in the veins like Chase McGrath did in 2022. Excuse me, because that's your job. You got the one job, but it is also, by that token, why you can also sympathize with him, right? And
exactly.
So let's see here, Tyler Starnes in the chat here saying, hey, if I were him, I'd get off Instagram. First of all, again, people shouldn't be messaging him on social media, like you said earlier.
You're Austin. A loser if you do that.
Yeah, please don't do that. But again, you sympathize with him because it is such a critical moment, and it's tough for anyone to be able to have the ice in the veins in that moment. But if the defense hadn't given up as many points as they did, then you don't have to have a game-winning field goal.
Yep.
And so, some fans point at Tim Banks a little bit. Think, maybe he's not quite as good as we thought he was, and we fans go back and forth on Tim
I
Banks,
know.
Austin,
Let's
but
not overreact.
I
That's the
mean,
thing with Heupel too, man. Like, and again, Hype did not. He made some mistakes in critical moments. I'm not taking that. That is true. That is just the story of the football game. He did, and that deserves criticism. But he also took a quarterback that transferred here from technically from UCLA, but really from App State, who had to learn a system in 2 months and just threw up 41 points on the Georgia Bulldogs defense, which no one does, by the way. Like we have Georgia fans in the chat. When's the last time you've seen a quarterback and a receiving core dot up your defense like that? That's Heupel, and people can say, well, Chris Brazzell was making some great catches. Yeah, guess what? We're going to get into that here in a little bit. I agree with you.
yeah,
But let's not forget about Heupel scheming up Braylon Staley wide open to keep us in the football game either. So, I mean, there's just things like we have to at least be honest about it all. And yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's like one of those things. It wasn't a perfect performance, but it's also the reason we're here. It's the reason we're even in these games. Let's not forget the absolute ineptitude this program had for 15 years,
yes,
Blake. How hard it was to watch this team, and and it's not a moral victory, okay? It's not. I'm
nope,
devastated, and we should have won the football game. But dang, we haven't played these games close in years, dude, in years. And of course, we've had some of these wins too. This one didn't go our way because ultimately the kick was missed and whatever. But yeah, man, like I said,
and
blame to go around.
again, again, that's life. Sometimes it doesn't go your way. Period.
Exactly.
But you're absolutely, and yes, absolutely not a moral victory. We're not in the business of that anymore. We're not. This is not Butch Jones era anymore. Okay. So absolutely not. We wanted to win the football game. We should have won the football game. But you're absolutely correct that this is and let us be clear. The standard is still we want to win national championships, right? We want to win national championships. And so we don't want to just settle for an 11-1 season or a 10-2 season. We want to go. Obviously, the ideal is go undefeated, win a national championship, or lose a game or two, win a national championship.
Exactly.
Right?
In the ideal world.
That's the in the ideal world. That's the standard. But yeah, we're in a better position than we were. So blame to go around, but also now we can maybe transition to the reasons for optimism.
Real quick,
get into that. I'm gonna. Yeah,
sorry.
go for it.
So I was actually going to respond to chat too because we have Tristan in the chat basically blaming the coaches in there and they're not being aggressive enough, and then Ryan putting some of the blame on the defense in the fourth down, and that's kind of my point in this. It's like I'll ask the people who are just focusing on Heupel, and because again, he is part to blame for not winning this game. I'm admitting that. Did Kirby Smart, who's considered the best coach in football, have his best coaching game? That's how I got to ask people that. I got to turn the gun on people because, listen, Kirby Smart, who has 2 national championships and is considered the greatest coach in the country at the moment, has had games where he didn't coach well. And I think he probably had that game this game. Did he have a perfect coaching game? Did he make all the perfect decisions? No. And unfortunately, Heupel's came at the most crucial time. And I get it. That adds to it. That adds fuel to the fire. And I'm upset too because I agree. Ultimately, I think if I had to be the person to put it on one thing, I think it's on the conservative drive where we ran the ball 3 times in a row and didn't get up 2 scores. If I had to just circle one thing. But it's not fair to circle one thing because to Ryan's point, the 4th and 6, you could have got off the field there. You could have stopped the 2-point conversion. You could have hit your kick. Like we could have had the holding in overtime. Like there's all these things that could have changed this game. And I also like Ryan's second point, which is like at the end of the day, we lost a 50-50 competitive matchup to one of the best teams in the country. Which, Blake, look, let's not forget, Blake, the last loss this team had was against Ohio State. Who thinks that was 50-50? Raise your hand if you think that game is close.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And even the Georgia game last year, Blake, what happened in the Georgia game last year? We got up early, which is what happened this game. We got up early too. 2 completely different ball games. We got dominated in the second half of the Georgia game last year. We didn't look like we belonged. What happened this year? Was that the case? The final drive of the game was us running it down the Bulldogs' throat. When's the last time we've done that?
Yeah, exactly. Now, again, and maybe some of the Dogs fans in the chat will even agree that the Dogs probably aren't as good as they were in their national championship years
Very true.
either,
It's fair.
but they are still one of the top teams in the country. Very obviously, clear, right? And so, yeah, I think you're right. The bottom line is there's different reasons. Thankfully, it's a different story, Austin. If we're talking about, oh, this was just completely on Heupel's coaching, or this
Yeah.
was just completely on the defense, or this is completely on whatever. But there's injuries, there's refs, there's all these different different factors. And so, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Delvin in the chat, Delvin Mosley. I don't know why you retracted your messages, brother. I saw you're a Dog fan. You said Tennessee played a heck of a game. You said I won't troll today. We appreciate that, Delvin.
Hey, we
And
we
yeah, I think
welcome y'all. This is
yes,
like
yes,
it's fine.
exactly,
Like we can be honest about the game, and like and Georgia made plays in key moments, and they won. They won. We're devastated, right? We're devastated, and there's blame to go around. And I think maybe part of it is officiating, but that's only a small sliver. It's like the bigger sliver is coaching, missing a 43-yard field. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. But at the end of the day, like Ryan said, it's a 50-50 game against probably two teams that are going to be fighting for playoff spots.
exactly. Which is a great segue, I think, Austin, if you agree, into
Yes.
reasons for optimism, because there are reasons for optimism, absolutely. So, again, like Austin said, we welcome the Dogs fans in the chat. We looks like we've got quite a few Dogs fans as viewers right now. So we welcome you. We welcome conversation. Please let us know your thoughts in the chat, folks. If you haven't already, even if you're a Dog fan, go ahead and smash that like button. It would really help the channel. It would help the video. Share it with a friend. And of course, if you're feeling froggy, subscribe as well. Again, even if you're a Dogs fan, we love talking ball with you guys. So Tristan is agreeing with you, Austin. Ryan also agrees with you. Says that this was night and day versus what we saw against Ohio State. These guys are much improved since last year. That's absolutely true, Austin. And we're about to talk about that in the reasons for optimism. Nature Boy, hell of a game yesterday. Boys, go Dogs. Again, welcome Nature Boy and all the Dogs fans. Corbin McClure, also a Georgia fan who hates Tennessee. The Vols played a hell of a game. So again, Dogs fans, we appreciate you. And look, we're not going to accept a moral victory, right?
No,
because
we're pissed.
And we're pissed. Now, we hope that if we're on the other end, right, and we had won the game, then we could say to you Dogs fans, hey, you played a heck of a game, right? Now, of course, as Austin said, you probably wouldn't be in the chat right now on a Vol channel if you hadn't won. But Austin, let's jump into another Dog fan jumping in there. Great game, Vols. We'll see y'all in the SEC championship and playoffs.
I'd love it.
And so let's again segue, Austin, into reasons for optimism. The overall theme for reasons for optimism is we showed that we are on that level.
We did.
Georgia is going to be contending for the playoffs. Georgia is obviously one of the best teams in the country. Are they as dominant as they were in the past in their national championship years? Probably not. Could they win a national championship? Yes. So Austin, excuse me, ergo, that means we could.
Oh, he's losing it. He's dying.
Take it, brother. Take it.
Well, Blake's trying to get at, how does this change the outlook on the season? And listen, I don't know. This kind of goes back to the beginning of the show when I'm seeing Vols fans in the chat. I'm looking at social media and seeing people be optimistic immediately just because how we played against Georgia. And I don't have that mindset. I wish I had that mindset sometimes. I'm still upset about the loss. So it's hard for me to look at the outcome of the season. And it's also tough because there's something to be said about how you respond to losses like this. You have to be able to respond in a way that shows us that you are, you can recover from this. And we won't know that until we play UAB and then get in more conference play, which we have some tough ones coming up at Mississippi State and against Arkansas, which are two feisty teams this year. Um, but ultimately, there are a lot of reasons for optimism. And it starts with me, or for me, at the quarterback position. Joey Aguilar, had Max Gilbert hit a 43-yard field goal, would be the story of college football right now. He would be the story of college football. He absolutely played his heart out. He was fearless in the pocket yesterday. Just listen, the deep ball is night and day compared to last year. He's giving dudes opportunities to make plays, and Chris Brazzell absolutely stood out, of course, player of the game. Unbelievable performance. And I think somebody deleted their chat earlier, but called the deep balls a fluke yesterday. I'm sure you're a Dogs fan, or maybe you're an uneducated Tennessee fan. Let me explain something to you. When a wide receiver goes up and head tops a cornerback in a 50-50 ball and then runs into the end zone, you don't just get to say, well, since it wasn't a perfect ball in stride, that doesn't count. Buddy, the receiver made the play. The receiver gets credit for making the play and head topping the cornerback and running into the end zone. You have to give credit to the receiver. Like, that's a tougher play to make than just running right by somebody and getting hit in stride. That's actually a tougher play to make. So to say something that stupid is interesting. That is interesting. And listen, we welcome all chatters. It's fine. But that was a stupid thing to say, and we'll give you a pass. You get one stupid thing to say per chat, but like that's really dumb to say. That wasn't a fluke happening.
Be careful what you say in the chat after a tough loss to Georgia, folks, because Austin might eat you up, okay, for dinner.
Listen, here's the thing. If you start 14 for 14 versus – listen, we can all agree the Georgia defense has been the best defense in the country for 5 years under Kirby Smart. You start 14 for 14 for over 200 yards, there is nothing less fluky than that. Like, it is the opposite of a fluke. That is absolutely balled out. And then when we got down, when it felt like the game was slipping, what did Aguilar do, dude? He kept us in the game. He kept taking deep shots, no matter how many times he got hit. And he wasn't getting hit a lot. The offensive line deserves credit for that. But the point is, he stayed in this game. Even when the moment got big, man, everyone was chanting his name in the stadium. He had 102,000 people wanting to make the plays, and he kept delivering, dude. He kept delivering time after time and time. And listen, the two interceptions, both of them, the second one in particular was definitely a bad throw. Okay, that was a bad decision. The first one was like right before the half, and there was probably a missed penalty. Like, it was one of those underthrown deep balls that, can result in a flag at times. It was double coverage. It wasn't a great throw. I'm not like defending the throw, but at the end of the day, it wasn't. I don't put as much blame on Aguilar in that one, because again, it was more like one of those arm punt situations, Blake, that we talk about. Overall, man, he balled out. And that was partly the receivers. The receivers were making fantastic plays, especially Brazzell. But yeah, man, I mean, that's just, it gives me so much more hope. And it also tells me, listen, like, we kept criticizing the receiving core last year, but we said, we don't have good receivers. We were wrong. It was the quarterback.
We did have a good quarterback.
It was the quarterback, dude. It wasn't the wide receivers. It was never the wide receivers. It was always the absolute, and we'll get into the set, because it is a therapy session. I feel like I deserve to talk a little crap about Nico after this heartbreaking loss. People, give me a break. I deserve it this week. Yeah. Okay. It was heartbreaking. It was a tough week on all of us. And then you have the heartbreaking loss. We deserve to talk a little crap about Nico. He was awful. It's a miracle that we won 10 games with that man last year. An absolute miracle, Blake.
Yeah, 1,000% a miracle from the Almighty, because man, we're going to get into that, folks. If you're just joining us, if you didn't see the top of the show, we are going to have a little therapy session at the end. Some more hate watching happened this week, and we got to talk about it because we need the therapy. Absolutely. But Austin, I really still believe Joey Aguilar is going to end up being the story of college football. I really do. I might have my orange tinted glasses on right now, but dude, this guy was going to quit football to become a fireman. And now he is lighting up one of the best defenses in the country in front of hundreds of thousands of fans. after 2 months of being in the program, brother. After he was left for dead, nobody wanted him. Which, by the way, if he had stayed with UCLA,
Oh,
obviously he was going to have a terrible, like that.
no.
That team is just, again, we're going to talk about that. But and Austin, look, I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm already seeing a couple people whisper, "Wait a minute, do we need to start? Do we need to start talking about a dark horse, Heisman?" Okay, look, yes, the 2 interceptions. Obviously, not. I anticipated he was going to throw his first interception in this game. I really did. It was bound to happen eventually. But man, what a freaking story, dude! And
Yes.
God, I am so
Uh,
pumped about this story with this
and
guy, man.
I
This
gotta
is
say,
incredible.
I agree with everything you said, dude. You're 100% correct about everything you said. Sam made a great point in the chat. I actually forgot Staley slipped on that throw because I was in the stadium. We didn't get to see the replay. That's the thing about being in Neyland, Blake. They don't show you any replay if it was negative or not. Like they don't. If it was a negative
Yeah,
play
yeah.
against the Vols, that thing is getting buried in the archives. They're never going to show you that. And I forgot the slip happened. And you are right about that. That was a tough break too. But dude, you're 100% correct. And I hate talking about Heisman this early in the season. So
No, yeah,
but
yeah. I'm
but
not.
dude,
I'm not saying it.
you
I'm
are
not saying it. I'm
100%
just
correct
saying.
though. A man who is going to quit football, and then not to mention, like, dude, listen, we lost the game, so it sucks. We can't rub it in all these people's faces. But like, how many people wrote us off for dead after
Yes,
Nico
yes.
left? I mean, we even have. Here's the thing. We even have some of our fans. I actually maybe did some tweeting last night and retweeted someone who said was like basically building up excuses for the game, and he added Nico leaving in May. It's like, people, Nico leaving in May
No.
was the biggest blessing in the universe, dude. We would suck if Nico didn't leave in May. Without Aguilar coming and saving this offense, we would have been absolutely awful this year. Okay, he's the only
A
reason we
rare
were in this
Vegas
game.
L.
Yes.
A rare Vegas L, because Vegas dropped our win
Yes.
total
Yes.
after Nico left, but we are seeing in real time that Nico was the problem and that Aguilar increases our chances to win.
And Ryan's making a great point in the chat. Now I'm losing it, Blake,
Now
because I'm
you
getting
now
fired
you're
up
getting
as fired up as I was at the game yesterday. Joey's a true underdog story, and that's the thing. And that's why I felt
yes.
like if he wins this game, he's the story of college football. And dude, he couldn't have done anything more to win the game. That's the thing. That's why I'm gutted for him. I'm gutted for the team, and I'm gutted for Max, like people are saying in the chat. You have to sympathize with the kicker, man, because again, it's a spot
Yeah.
that nobody wants to be in, right? Dude, your boy, I can't kick, but if I could kick, I'd shank that kick. Like, are you kidding me? It's the
Yeah.
most high pressure
Okay.
kick ever. Like, come on, man. So I do
Yeah,
feel
and
bad.
he looked scared too.
He did.
Got to feel bad for the kicker. But there are other reasons for optimism, folks. Austin, I am derelict in my duties right now. We are way behind in chat, so I'm going to catch up on chat real quick as best I can, because chat is popping off, folks. Again, we really appreciate you guys joining the conversation, watching the video. So please jump in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. Gonna catch up on chat real quick. Honestly, Austin, I'm also embarrassed. You were at the game losing your voice yesterday. I wasn't losing my voice at the game. Unfortunately, I couldn't be at the game. But here I am about to choke to death on camera. So that's not good. Devin George saying choking literally. Yes, I was choking and dying literally, but I'm back. Backflip Spaghetti says, "Howdy, fellas. Welcome back, Backflip Spaghetti. Glad to see y'all seeing the positives." And Backflip says, we put 41 points on Georgia. So yeah, that's absolutely reason for optimism. Josh in the chat saying we got to get Hypel the back to 2022. And he says, call not to lose and lose the lead, instead pedal to the metal, saying he needs to be more aggressive. We've talked about that a little bit, Josh. There's different factors, right? Absolutely. Rhonda says, I don't know if it's football or what it is, but I really believe God put him in Knoxville. I agree with you, Rhonda, man. It's just what an awesome story for Joey, right? And let's see here. Tevin George saying razzle brazzle. Yeah, brazzle definitely razzled yesterday. Let's see here. My wife Rachel in the chat finally saying Austin is on fire. Welcome, Rachel. She says go Big Orange. Backflip spaghetti continuing on. Yeah, talking about one of those wasn't INT. And then Sam Schrock in the chat. The second INT was first down. If Braylon didn't slip. We talked about that point. Ryan spoiling a little bit of our therapy session. Ryan saying Bruins fired their coach and DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions, made that Tennessee loss a little easier. So Ryan,
Definitely.
you're literally teasing our therapy session because that is exactly what we're going to be talking about soon after we're done talking about reasons for optimism. And yeah, again, Joey is, when Ryan's talking about Joey being an underdog, it's just absolutely true. Let's see here. Callie, Austin calling you out in chat here. True or false, Austin? Callie says Austin had a crash out on Twitter last night.
Maybe there's some
Dang.
truth in that. Maybe there's some truth in that.
Oh, listen, folks, don't follow our personal accounts on X. Please just follow the Vol Talk podcast on X. So, hey, find us on X, follow us there, but do not follow our personal accounts because sometimes we get a little heated about Tennessee football, okay? It just happens. Tennessee Smokey in the chat here, Austin, saying he's got 2 points. The Tennessee defense was handicapped yesterday due to injuries. That's true, Austin. Let's talk about that here in just a second about reasons for optimism. And second, he says the Volunteers coaches didn't manage the last 6 minutes of the football game very well. As a result, Georgia wins. So yeah, we've talked a little bit about the management not being the best. So there's blame to go around there. But let's talk about this point about the injuries, Austin. Right. So obviously it's bad that how many injuries we had. But to me, I'm sitting here thinking if our people can get healthy, that's a reason for optimism because we're missing 2 of our cornerbacks.
Yeah.
We're missing people across the defense. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think the biggest reason for optimism if Jermod McCoy gets in this secondary, because if you have Jermod McCoy and Colton Hood on the field at the same time, that's an elite secondary. It's an elite duo of cornerbacks, and then Ty Redmond becomes a really good depth piece at that point. And then Ricky Gibson as well. I think if Ricky gets back and Jermod gets back, I think the 2 corners that need to be starting are McCoy and Hood. That's my personal opinion. I think Hood has earned that. But at the end of the day, if they're all healthy, that is a reason for optimism if they can get healthy. Now, I think Ricky's going to be out for a while, but McCoy should be on his way back. And then we have the David Sanders factor. I will say, kind of going back to the O-line for a reason of optimism, Blake, real quick as well, since we're talking about injuries here. Y'all have to get familiar with Jesse Perry, man. He had I believe, let me look real quick. He had a insanely good pass blocking grade yesterday. 85.6 pass blocking grade against the Bulldogs. Jesse Perry is just fine at tackle. Now, problem is that like we also the other guard spot outside of Wendell Moe, Sham hasn't been the best. Pendleton had a really bad game yesterday, pass blocking wise. So I get the argument that we need Jesse Perry inside and then David Sanders on a tackle. I personally think it was the right move sending him another game. Or maybe he's just legitimately hurt and can't play. That's one thing we have to keep in mind, people. But yeah, he's potentially get David Sanders back, which is a factor as well. And then the D linemen, the interior D linemen, which, have obviously hurt the run defense. That's obviously hurt the run defense, losing 2 of your starting interior D linemen. So getting those guys back is another reason for optimism for future in the season. So yeah.
For sure. Continuing to catch up on chat here. It's going crazy. We really appreciate you guys being in chat here. We want to have this conversation with you guys and let us know your thoughts on maybe reasons for optimism and how you're feeling about the season. Cause we're about to talk, Austin, about how we feel about the rest of the outlook for the season. Devin George saying, I work with the Vols fan. The camera kept going to, he called out sick for the game. Oh, one, it stinks that you got to work on a Saturday,
Dude,
but 2,
if that's legit,
hey,
that is hilarious, man. That is so funny if that's true. That's really funny. So I'm assuming he might be getting in a little bit of trouble now at work that he got called out by the cameraman several times, huh?
Yeah, literally proof right there, right on national television. But hey, you got to give your all for Tennessee, man. So I respect it. Calling out sick to go to the game. Justin Ashley saying literally if the kicker hits that kick, it's over. Y'all win, period. Yeah, bottom line is, dude, it's a shanked kick. And any other day, we probably make that and win the game. Right. So that is another reason for optimism, really, Austin, is hey,
It's a
and a
reason
lot
for
of
my
Georgia
depression,
fans,
Blake.
it is a reason for depression, but it's also like, dang, man, we basically had the game won, right? Um, but backflip spaghetti makes the great point, right? We should have never had to rely on that field goal. So
Mhm.
uh Josh Choate saying, I don't see us beating Bama or Oklahoma. Oklahoma is going to be a tough opponent, Austin. They are looking a lot better than we expected of them to this year, so that could potentially be another loss. And obviously Alabama's looking, they seem to be bouncing back from their mysterious week 1 loss. But Austin, let's go ahead and use that as a segue into how does this change your outlook on the season? For me personally, I'm sitting here as depressed as I am. I'm also like, man, it comes down to I want to see how this team responds, because if the team responds the right way, you can go on to have a really incredible season.
Yeah, man, I don't think I can be level-headed about this conversation right now. I'm still in mourning of the loss, dude. I am.
Yeah.
And like everyone's debating like the rest of the season. I also just think it depends, man. The football season is like it's such a game to game thing. I know that's coach speak. There's a reason every coach in America says it because it's so true. Like there is truth in it. It's annoying because it is coach speak, like we're going game by game. But that's how it is, Blake. That's how you have to take a football season because there's so many thousands of factors that can impact each and individual game. But listen, at the end of the day, like looking at Florida's performance yesterday, if we can't beat Florida this year in the swamp, man, like I don't think we're ever beating them in the swamp ever again. Like we should take care of business at Florida. And as far as Oklahoma is concerned, I'm not fully sold on Oklahoma yet, although I see it. I see it in Mateer. I get it because he looks really good. But man, it's like Georgia has been the only team to beat us in Neyland, Blake, and it this year it literally like took a lot of things for that to happen this year. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, a 43-yard missed field goal is what potentially could have decided the game or was at least a major factor in the game. And so like we're tough to beat in Neyland. That's just a reality. We're tough to beat in Neyland. And we've also talked about the factors, these injuries, blah, blah, blah. And then at Bama is always going to be tough. And listen, people are back on the Bama train because they beat Wisconsin. I watched a little bit of that game. Let me tell you, there is no stock in that game at all. And I'm just being honest with y'all. And I'm honest with our listeners,
Wisconsin's not a
Blake.
great team this year.
And am I biased? Yes, I am biased. But let me tell you, if you watch that Wisconsin quarterback, let me tell you, there is absolutely no stock that you should take from that game at all. None at all. So, like
Fair enough.
that game is still on the table for us. I think Ty Simpson isn't bad. I think he made some plays. The Alabama quarterback, he looked pretty good. But like, you know, let's not forget, Joe Milton was up 20-6 on Alabama at halftime. And,
Yeah.
in Tuscaloosa. Like, and I bring that up because like a lot of people have theories on why we lost that game. Listen, I I will never let people retell the story of that game. Go back and watch the TV copy, people. Jalen Milroe's throw that opened up the game in the second half, that big long touchdown pass. Tyler Barron got clotheslined on the play, Blake. He won his block and got clotheslined. There, listen, deep developing balls. Sometimes there's good pass blocking. Sometimes there's obvious holding that lets that develop. And the clothesline on Tyler Barron was one of the things that let that develop. So I'm just saying, let's not. I know we're all emotional right now, so we're like, oh, that second half was on Heupel in Alabama. That second half was on Joe Milton. The dude that was the head ref was worked in Tuscaloosa, Blake. He lived there. He lived in Tuscaloosa, Blake. That's a factor when
Facts.
we're talking about these games. So I'm just saying, like, I bring all that up to say, I think we still have a chance in Alabama this year. Like, they're still not a Nick Saban coach team. They're still, Yeah, so I'm not going to rule that off as a loss, but I'm also not going to sit here and tell y'all I think we're going 11-1 just because we took the Dogs in OT. I don't know. It's a week
Yeah,
to week thing. We have to see how they bounce back after a absolutely heartbreaking loss where you probably should have won.
exactly. It's at the end of the day, it comes down to how does this team respond, and that's going to really tell me my outlook for the season. Okay, obviously, I need to pull up the schedule, but I'm pretty sure we have a no name coming up, right?
UAB.
One of our cupcake games,
Yes,
yeah,
we do.
UAB coming up this week. But so okay, take that as you may. But um, again, as we continue on into SEC play, how does this team respond? That's going to really tell us because this kind of loss could deflate teams that are not well coached and don't have good culture and don't have good player leadership. But for a good team, this should fire you up and this should make you work that much harder to where you don't want to lose another game. You don't want to have this feeling again, right? You want to you hate to lose. And so I want to see how this team responds. Austin, it is impossible to keep up with chat, so I'm going to do an abbreviated version. I'm going to call out some folks that haven't been called out yet. So we want to appreciate you guys for jumping in the chat. Just Josh and you saying, "What up, guys? I'm disappointed, but hopeful for the rest of the season." I agree. Carl Last saying, "Not blaming anyone, but would have liked one more play with 7 seconds left to get the first try closer and better angle." I agree
Yes.
with that, Carl. I mentioned that earlier as well. Let's see here. Scooby saying, "Go Dogs, see y'all in Atlanta." Again, we welcome all Georgia fans. Seems to be
And
consensus that we feel like we're probably going to meet each other again in
Blake, I
later in
got
the
to say
season,
with the
Austin.
Georgia fans, okay? I've experienced several different fan bases in the SEC. Y'all are one of the better ones. Let me just say, am I irritated that y'all are good again after not being good for 40 years with Kirby Smart? Yes, I am. I am very irritated about that, especially right when Nick Saban leaves. Y'all get Kirby Smart. But let me say, I've dealt with Alabama fans, I've dealt with Florida fans. They're some of the worst, and I appreciate y'all getting in the chat and at least giving props to us for playing a good game.
Yes, absolutely. Now, with that being said, being better than a Florida fan is really kind of
Very
the
low
lowest
bar.
bar.
Very low bar.
It's pretty much the lowest bar you could
Yeah.
have. However,
Well,
I concur with Austin.
yeah.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys being cordial. But Scooby says y'all should have won that game yesterday. Now, I think a lot of Georgia fans are kind of, it's like we are depressed, but also like, man, we could have won the game, right? Georgia fans are on the opposite end or the inverse, right? Where it's like they're happy and relieved that they won the game, but they're also like depressed because like, crap, we should have lost the game or could have lost the
Well, I
game or
don't think they're
whatever.
depressed by that. I think they're just acknowledging it like
No,
their
no,
head coach did.
not
But
not not depressed. I should
yeah,
say they are. I mean, obviously, I mean, you tell me in the chat, Georgia fans, you would rather blow us out, right? You
yeah,
would rather
yeah,
win and it not be close,
yeah.
right? And so, obviously, and same for us. We would have rather have won the game and been the clear better team. But instead, we came away from a game, and it's like, man, who knows who the better team is? So I guess that's ultimately my point. Faded by Marco. First time seeing you. He's yet another dog fan. Congrats to you guys on a great game. Look forward to playing y'all again down the line. Pretty much um, the consensus here that we think that we're going to meet again down the line. Curio, welcome to the Ball Talk podcast. If the kicker hits the field goal going in the field goal is going in the river. Glad y'all missed. Yeah, Austin, tell us. I mean, you
Oh
said the
yeah.
students were lining up to
They
storm
were
the
gonna
field, right?
rush. They
So
were gonna rush. People
yeah,
plan to take the post down and everything, which I think it made sense in this situation. We hadn't beat Georgia in 8 years, so I wouldn't have been mad with that. My issue was, what are y'all weren't there for LSU and Derek Dooley, clearly. Y'all weren't there for Pig Howard against Georgia. Y'all weren't there for all these heartbreaking Y'all weren't there in the mellow mushroom when an offensive penalty extended the North Carolina bowl game. Y'all weren't there for all those because if you were, you wouldn't have been lining up to rush the field. And as a Tennessee fan, y'all got to understand that. Like, this is part of being a Vol fan. There's some absolutely heartbreaking losses that can happen. So let's not, next time, students, let's not celebrate too early and line up to rush when the game hasn't hit triple zeros, please.
It ain't over till the fat lady sings. We got to make sure that the game is over before we celebrate. A couple people jumping out of chat here. They got to run. Backflip Spaghetti says, thank you, Blake and Austin. Have a good Sunday. You as well, Backflip. Thank you so much for joining and chatting. Backflip, you've been holding up chat here. I apologize. I haven't been able to keep up with all your chats, but we really appreciate you. And Tennessee Smokey saying, great conversation. Got to go, guys. Thank you all who are just joining, everyone who has to go. We appreciate you all being part of the conversation. As we continue this conversation, let us know what you think in the chat. Sam making a great point in the chat. Austin saying 41 is the most points scored on Georgia in the last 5 years by us. Alabama and Ohio State. Georgia Tech got 42, but it was 8 overtimes. Our offense is elite.
Sam nailed it.
Yeah,
our offense is elite this
exactly.
year. Our offense is elite this year. We couldn't run the ball that well against Georgia, but no one runs the ball against Georgia. Our offense is back to 2022 levels, and that's why too. That's why I'm partly depressed. I'm like, this could be 2022 Alabama game, and it's like exactly how it played out. But we miss the kick and we lose, and it's just so depressing because our offense is back, man. Our offense is back. Our defense is obviously not as good as last year, but the offense is elite again. Joey Aguilar is that guy. He's going to be good the entire season because he's a great player, man. He's a great player. Underdog story, and he's running this offense at an extremely high level,
and that fires me up. Now, folks, don't get it twisted. These smiles and the chuckles are depressed smiles and chuckles. Don't get it wrong. We are depressed. We are putting on a face for the people, the Vol Talk Nation. But we do smile, yes, because this offense is looking like 2022 levels, man, and that fires me up because Austin. That means that because in 2022 we should have made the playoffs, right? And that was only a 14 playoff. We should make the playoffs this year. In my opinion,
it's tough.
We need to make the playoffs with this offense.
Yeah, I ultimately agree with you. And again, it's gonna determine. It's gonna be based on all these factors, right? These defensive players coming back from injury, and we get some of our tougher games on the road, like Alabama, out Florida. It's just gonna depend. It's gonna depend how the team responds to this heartbreaking loss. I will say, under the leadership of Joey Aguilar, I trust it, man. Like I trust it. I told you before the pod, dude, I'm a big body language guy. That's why people kind of knew Max was going to miss the field goal because the body language wasn't there. Aguilar was unfazed this entire game. Never looked like he was overwhelmed by the moment, man. Never. And has he been able to do that on the road yet? No, just because he hasn't been given the opportunity. So we have to see how he responds on the road when he's not in front of his home crowd. However, in a game where, and if you all were at the game, and if y'all were at the game, you know this. In a game where the fans were chanting, Joey, Joey, Joe, you have 102,000 fans chanting your name, and you know what this means for this team. Like if you beat Georgia, then you can go on and do some very special things this season. Never fazed by the moment, Blake. Not a single time. His face was just stoic, just ready, and that's why. If again, I'm kind of hesitant to give people like record predictions right now, and if we're going to beat this team or that team or whatever. But I'm confident in that. That's not going to go away. That's just Joey Aguilar's makeup, man. That is Joey Aguilar's makeup, and that excites me. That's one real reason for optimism is that mindset, that headspace, that leadership. That is extremely exciting going forward the rest of the season.
Absolutely. 1,000%. And that's honestly my biggest reason for optimism is Joey Aguilar absolutely coming out of this game. Curio, apologies if I'm saying your name incorrectly, asked the question, if Tennessee came to Athens, I don't think they score 41. Maybe, man, but I think this offense is just that good. And so, and no disrespect to Athens, but yes, it's a tough, and any SC stadium is going to be a tough place to play. But I think this offense is that good. Real quick, Austin, Tyler Daniels asks in the chat, can you guys explain why we didn't kick again on 4th down? Can you go over those?
I'm not sure what he's referring to. To be completely honest, if you're referring to
he's talking about the final kick because we kicked on 3rd and 10.
If you kick the ball and miss it, it's a turnover on downs. It doesn't matter what the
Correct.
down is. So you can kick it on first down. If you miss the field goal, it is a turnover on downs no matter what. It's like you can think of a field goal kick like a punt, except you're going for points. Because remember, on any field goal kick, the opposing team can return it if it's
Correct.
within the field of play. But essentially, that's just the answer: is that a kick is a turnover on downs if you miss.
And if I can be a nerd real quick, Austin, I actually used to play rugby in high school and a little bit in college. And that is kind of a carryover from rugby, in which, in rugby, you can kick the ball at any time, right? But you can do a drop kick in rugby where again, if you kick it through the field goal post or the goal post, then you get points, you get 3 points. And so exactly like you said, same deal in football. You can technically kick it whenever you want, technically. That's a carryover rule from football. You could kick it whenever you want.
Yep.
It's just that, you're losing possession of the ball when you do that. And so with a field goal, if you kick it, you miss it, turnover on of possession. Excuse me. So, Austin, let's put a bow on this section and head into our therapy session. Okay.
Okay.
And Tyler says, thanks. I wasn't sure if that was the case. So appreciate the question, Tyler. Listen, we welcome all questions. We welcome all, thoughts. Continue the conversation, guys. We really appreciate all the chat and going on. So, but bottom line, Austin, there's reason for optimism coming out of this game. Is it a moral victory? No, but there are good things that we're looking at, and one of the main things is Joey freaking Aguilar,
Our
baby.
quarterback, man.
What a game.
We should be excited about our quarterback.
What a freaking story. But Austin, let's look. We need to end on a happy note, brother. Okay, we just talked about optimism, yes, but we also need to have some laughs.
Yes.
So let's head into our therapy session. Okay, now, folks, again, if you haven't already, smash the like button and share it with a friend. Share the stream with a friend, because this section is going to be funny, folks. Austin, Nico is so bad that the Bruins lost to New Mexico. Now, we've had to educate folks on some geography on the podcast over the past few weeks. Because the Bruins have been losing to some teams that we didn't even know if they were a state. We didn't know they played football. New Mexico has been a state in this union since the end of the Mexican-American War. And sometime in the last 150 years since New Mexico has been a state, at some point they did in fact start playing football in New Mexico, Austin. But they just beat UCLA and the Bruins and Nico. They didn't just beat them. They beat them at the Rose Bowl. And they beat them bad. And it's so bad now that Nico has gotten his coach, Deshaun Foster, fired. Ryan kind of alluded to it earlier. Brother, it's just like he just keeps delivering in the best possible way for us.
Yeah, I was hesitant to talk about this on the show just because the Georgia game was such a big moment and all of that. But I do feel like, hey, we deserve to have a little bit of a good time. We just lost one of the most heartbreaking losses in Heupel's coaching career here, probably the most heartbreaking, honestly, as a fan in a long time. But yeah, so listen, this is really funny. It's a funny situation, right? Because it plays into the Aguilar story because and I was going to mention this earlier, Blake, but did you know Deshaun Foster said about Joey Aguilar during the spring the spring portal air that he wasn't happy with Joey Aguilar's film study. He wasn't happy with Joey Aguilar as his quarterback. That's why you're fired, idiot.
Insane,
like, there's a
yeah,
reason. Listen, you got to wake up and smell the rose. There's a reason you just got fired. It's because you just said one of the dumbest things ever. If you say something and you make as dumb as a decision as going for Nico instead of Joey Aguilar, you get fired from your job. That's one good way to get fired. Another good way to get fired, Blake, is you lose to a team that hasn't won a power conference game since 2008. Blake, that was the first Barack Obama administration. That's the last time this team won a
It's
power
a long time
conference
ago,
game.
brother.
It's a long time ago, dude. It's a long time ago. I was the ripe age of 10 to 11 years old, depending on the time frame of the football game, probably 11. Point being, that's a long time ago, dude. To win a power conference game. That was New Mexico's first power conference win since 2008, Blake. And it wasn't just a win, people. They
They
annihilated them.
smoked them. They
35 to
smoked them.
10. It wasn't close at any point in the game. Nico kept trying to throw it to the defense. Defenders kept dropping it. He looked awful. I mean, it was just, and it's just like, and again, like, could you imagine if Joey and Max Gilbert hit a 43-yard kick? Because and it's just like, it's already so lopsided, right? But imagine like we would get all the
Yeah.
storylines because we're 3-0 and Joey's a Heisman candidate and all this. But man, it's funny. It's fun. That's the best way to say it. It's a funny happening that Nico, like, because like we talked about last week, like we're like, okay, where's the wins left on the schedule? They're probably beating New Mexico. They were 15-point favorites in the game, by the way, people. They're 15-point
Yes.
favorites to beat New Mexico
Oh,
at home.
God.
If you want to call it a home game, there was a lot of open seats,
Like-
man. A lot of people dressed as empty seats in this game. People are sending the screenshots of before, like when the game was starting. Could you imagine what the stadium looked like when it was 28-10 New Mexico, Blake? There wasn't a soul left in the stadium. Like it's just, and like we're looking through the schedule, we say New Mexico, we say Northwestern's maybe a win. We're looking at 2-10 at this point. Like there is a legitimate possibility to go 0-12 if you're the UCLA Bruins. 0-12.
It's very legitimate. It's like it's the probable course of action now. It's probably like they're fighting to get a win now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
look, we always give this disclaimer. We feel a little bit of sympathy for Nico because he's been led astray by his dad. Okay, got that disclaimer out of the way. This is freaking hilarious, man.
It's so
I mean,
funny.
it's
funny.
just the funniest thing you've ever. And you make a great point about, man, if Gilbert hits that kick,
Oh, dude.
this is plastered over every. The headline is Joey freaking football, baby, is the freaking headline of college football. And Austin, I still believe in my heart of hearts that he's going to end up being the headline of college
He
football
has the
this
makeup.
season.
He has the makeup for it, man.
He has the makeup. He does
And-
have the makeup. But man,
Dude,
go ahead.
Yeah, man, you're 100% correct. But dude, it's the fact that they could go 0-12 after you literally you crapped on Joey Aguilar in the spring portal. You're like, we don't want this guy. Give him the Tennessee. And it's already the most lopsided trade in history. Like it's already, if the season ended right now, it's the most lopsided trade in history. But man, if we beat Georgia, dude, it would have been the most lopsided trade in history and for the rest of time, dude. And I'm not even putting any of the loss on Joey. I'm just saying it's like we would be competing for a potential, SEC championship, national championship, and we still could. By the way, we still could. That's not off the table. I'm just saying it's like, oh, it's so funny, dude. It's so funny. And let's make this come totally clear. Let me just make this perfectly clear for the audience. If Nico were the quarterback yesterday, it would have been 44-10 Georgia, not 44-41. We wouldn't have had a chance to win that football game with Nico at the helm, dude. No chance whatsoever. The only reason we're in that game is because of Joey Aguilar and, of course, the receivers. But the thing is, your receiver can't make a play when you're taking a sack. They can't make a play.
If your quarterback's not getting rid of the ball.
If you're not going to give him an opportunity to make the deep catch and get on the highlight reel and get on SEC top 10 and have 3 touchdowns, then guess what? We're sitting here like idiots last year doing the season review and saying, oh, our receiver sucked last year. No, it turned out we had the worst quarterback in FBS, dude. That's what he's fighting for. He's fighting for the worst quarterback in college football, man. That's how bad he is.
And his team is currently squarely the worst team in FBS football. Dude, did you see that, dude? All-time tweet from the Big Sky Conference.
Loved it.
FCS. And I think it might have been like a Barstool account or something saying about, hey, UCLA needs to make the change to the Big Sky Conference and the FCS, and they're like,
No
no
thanks.
thanks,
No, we're good.
we'll
We'll
pass.
pass. We'll pass on.
We're
We'll
gonna
pass on
pass,
that. Dude, that was so
dude.
funny.
That
So funny.
all time tweet,
It,
hilarious.
and they're
Man,
also, man, dude, I'm blanking on the conference that New Mexico plays in. I'm trying to look it up real quick. I think it's okay, so
like
anyway, either
Mountain West.
way, it's man, I can't find their conference. I forgot it. But anyway, it's a group of 5 conference. UCLA is currently the only team in that conference, which they're not even in that conference, by the way. They play in the Big Ten, people.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
the only team in this conference to lose 2 conference games to this conference, and they're not even in the conference. That's how incredible. They
Yes.
lost to UNLV and New Mexico, who play in the same conference. I can't find the conference right now. But either way, Mountain West, maybe it might be the Mountain West. That sounds right.
I think it's the
They're
Mountain
like
West.
the only Mountain West a team in the Mountain West to lose 2 conference games, and they don't play in the Mountain West. They play in the Big Ten. They haven't even gotten Big Ten play yet. Can you imagine how bad those games are going to look, dude? It is going to be really, really sad. And it's just like it's if I don't even know if I believe in karma, but this is the kind of this is the kind of level of karma that would get a non-believer in karma to believe in karma. That's how bad this situation has turned out. And dude, I stayed up for the UCLA game Friday night. That makes me a crazy person, but that's how much I enjoy the UCLA and the dumpster fire that it is right now. I stayed up for that whole game. I texted some of my buddies. I'm like, when y'all wake up and look at the UCLA score, just remember one thing. Nico left Tennessee because the situation, Blake. Remember, that's why he left Tennessee, because the situation around him. It held him back. That was the narrative. That was a complete lie, by the way, Blake. Complete lie.
Biggest lie.
It was all about the money. And for all the people saying, well, it was about the family. If we would have paid Nico $4 million, he would still be our quarterback. And we would have gotten blown out by 30 points yesterday. It had nothing to do with his family. It had nothing to do with the situation around him. It was because we didn't fork up the $4 million. Let's not rewrite history. It was because we didn't fork up the $4 million, and it's because Heupel said, get off my team when you miss practice. You're done. Correct. We're not paying you $4 million. We're going to go upgrade with Joey Football, Joey Swagular, whatever. The Fireman. That's my favorite nickname, by the way.
The Fireman.
The Fireman.
I hit you with that one.
The Fireman.
I hit you with that one.
That is Joey Aguilar, dude. The Fireman, dude. I absolutely love. That's a fire nickname, because it's probably what he'll end up doing one day after football. And that's what happened, Blake. Let's not rewrite history, people. Let's not listen to Joel Klatt and all the idiots on Fox tell you why. Oh, it's just about his family, and he wanted Tennessee in the offensive line and those dang receivers, man. Those receivers. Did you watch Chris Brazzell yesterday, dummies? Did you watch him play football? Did you watch Chris Brazzell score 3 touchdowns on the Bulldogs, and you thought it was the receivers? Are you out of your mind? And like, it gets worse and worse by the second, dude. How dumb that statement is. It's one of the dumbest statements ever, man. Like, it's not the receivers, it's not the offensive line. It was Nico, bro. It was Nico.
Bro,
and it's a miracle we won 10 games last year.
Absolute miracle. And how do you, as national media, professional sports media, how do you keep your job? How do you keep your dignity as a human being? Like, how do you look at yourself in the mirror when you're like spewing this false narrative that Big Nick put out? By the way, the narrative changed like 7 times, right?
Yeah.
When they're trying to do damage control. That's a telltale sign. Like, that's what police look for when they're doing an investigation and they're questioning
when
you.
The story changes. Yeah.
You change your story multiple times. Yep. That's usually a telltale sign that you're lying, right? And so the narrative changed, but Big Nick's like, oh, it's a family situation. And then, Kirk Herbstreit came out and said that he heard, Big Nick was saying you need to get better players around Nico, and or we're leaving. Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? You're going 0-12 now. You're going 0-12. It was obviously about the money, but how do you, as national sports media, professional sports media, look at yourself in the mirror when you're spewing obvious lies?
Yeah.
And you're trying to get us to still believe it. Like, come on, the gig is up.
Because the family said something different a week ago. Like it's like
Yes.
they just had complete amnesia after a week. They're like, oh, but it was the receiver. It was the receiver who had 150 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Bulldogs. That was the problem. Chris Brazel. Or how about Braylon Staley, who put up 100 yards and a touchdown against the Bulldogs? Or how about Mike Matthews, who were all on the team last year, by the way, Blake? They all played for us last season. But it was the receivers, dude. It was Chris Brazel. He was the problem. No, it turns out Chris Brazel was massively held back by the worst quarterback in college football. That's what the reality was.
Turns out when your quarterback has only 5 touchdowns against teams that aren't SEC or named Vandy, turns out that actually it's the quarterback that is the issue. And man, it again, it's therapy. It's therapizing to be able to look at that and say, man, we upgraded in a major way, brother.
And we
And
got
you
it
talk
right
about
here on the
body.
podcast. It doesn't matter whether we make
We
the
did.
playoffs or not, Blake. We got this one right. We did. And we're going to pat ourselves on the back. We said, it feels like we upgraded at quarterback, man. It feels like the ceiling of this offense raised. And before yesterday, Blake, by the way, just to give Joey Aguilar and us credit, because this is about us. This podcast is about the Vols. And, you know, Nico is rotting at UCLA, 0-12. Bye. Before yesterday, Blake, and this includes the great Hendon Hooker, by the way, Josh Heupel versus Kirby Smart. Heupel never put up 20 points of offense, never. The highest we put up was 17 against the Bulldogs. And the highest, we never even had a 200-yard passing game. And Aguilar put 440 on their head. And that's, listen. That's it, man.
I mean, the proof's in the pudding.
Proof's in the pudding, man. It's done. Whether we hit the game-winning kick or not, the proof's in the pudding. We were right. Aguilar was a massive upgrade, and this ceiling of this offense was raised tremendously because the quarterback let his receivers cook, because the quarterback stood in the pocket and didn't bail on the pocket and make his offensive line look worse. That's why. It's the quarterback.
And because he's actually a leader. On this podcast, we say the numbers don't lie, and the numbers do not lie about Joey Aguilar. We upgraded in a massive way, and man, I couldn't be happier, to be honest with you, about this upgrade in quarterback. Yeah, don't let the media gaslight you anymore. Don't let Nico's dad gaslight you anymore. It was all BS. It was always about the money from the very beginning. And he lost, and we won in a major way. And now here we are with a guy who's going to be the headline in college football. I truly believe.
How happy was Joe Clapp when we missed that game-winning kick? By the way, he got in his knees and looked up in the sky and said, "Thank you so much that they missed that game-winning kick, because his mentions would have been cooked for 12 months minimum."
Minimum. For sure. Real quick, gonna catch up on chat here. Curio saying UCLA ruins, and then absolutely, and Tennessee won the trade. Let's see here. Tennessee Smokey. Hey, appreciate you, Tennessee Smokey. Don't forget to give these guys a like. Appreciate that.
Hey,
absolutely,
I like
Smokey.
that. Let's go, Smokey.
Like that. Rhonda saying, making me feel old there, Austin. Rhonda, you are not old. You are simply more blessed than us to have had more volunteer football seasons than us,
and better ones
so
too.
Really, and well,
a lot better
particularly for Austin. Thankfully, thank God, I was able to experience as a young kid the 90s and all that, but and of course the great Casey Clausen in the early 2000s. But I digress. Had to throw in there Casey Clausen, Austin. You know me. Symphonic Clown says, I don't want to play UT anymore this year. Go Dogs. That seems to be the common refrain among the Georgia fans. And so, yeah, we will see later on down the road if we play Georgia again. And then Frederick Gleaton saying Nico is the new Jason Rashada. Which, Austin, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he the guy that transferred from Georgia to somewhere? I don't remember where he transferred to.
I believe so.
But yeah, it's just it's a cautionary tale, right? Nico is the ultimate cautionary tale.
It really is.
That the grass is not always greener, and when you try to demand more money that you aren't worth, Sometimes you get what you deserve.
Could you imagine asking for a raise when you got drafted? It is an absolute miracle. That's
Dude.
partly why the people that are so mad at hype right now and some of the game flow issues, which again are totally valid issues, people, and you have the total right to criticize them for it. But people, he won 10 games with Nico at quarterback. Like you have to keep that in mind. That is a miracle, Blake. 10 wins at
Yes.
Nico with Nico at quarterback is an absolute miracle, dude. Like, and that's coaching, man. Like you have to give him credit for dragging that kid to the playoffs.
Yeah, and Rhonda makes a point related to something I was going to say earlier. She says, watch Joey during the Vol walk. He loves Tennessee and the team,
Yes.
breath of fresh air. You talked about body language, Austin, and how important it is, and how, you could see it Max Gilbert that he wasn't going to make the kick and all of this. That's what I said last season, brother. And I don't remember if I have it on a Vol Talk episode, but you remember the conversation we had. You remember that Vol walk. I talked about Nico, and everyone was talking about his aura, right? Look at his aura, man. Oh, look, he and I was like, no, look at his body language. He's looking down the entire time. Whereas
Yeah.
I saw that video of Joey doing the Vol walk, and he's looking at
He's
the
ready for the
fans, he's
moment, man.
smiling,
That's
he's
why I'm
taking it
gutted
all in.
for him, Blake. That's why I'm
I
gutted for
know,
him. He
dude.
showed up
Gets
for the
his
moment.
He
Oh,
did. He gets
I'm
his phone
gutted.
out. He's filming it. He's soaking it all in. He's loving it. Right, Nico. Going through the Vol walk, and
Head
he's
down.
I don't know if he's like counting the cracks in the pavement or something. I don't know, but his head's down. He obviously wasn't confident. He obviously wasn't a leader. And we are vindicated because obviously the numbers don't lie. The proof's in the pudding. Another stat, Austin. This is the last thing I'll say. Another stat that Aguilar broke in the game yesterday was that I don't know if you saw that about the first quarterback in SEC play in over 20 seasons to go 14 for 14 or better in a quarter.
Unbelievable.
I mean, he was on, and I think that was probably in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken, because he was absolutely on fire, dude.
Yeah, I just don't have a bad word to say about him. I don't have a bad word to say about him, Blake. It's the intangibles, it's the play, it's the leadership, it's everything. It's all there. And that's why again, I'm so gutted for the guy. Like he showed up to the moment, and again, let's not forget, because we're overemphasizing the bad things since the result. Let's not forget to emphasize the good things, which is 3rd and 8 throw. You're in a tie ball game in Georgia. You have 100,000 people depending on you to get this throw, and he makes a 3rd and 8 beautiful throw to continue that drive. And then we run it down Georgia's throat, and then we miss a kick, and that's the story. It's fine. It's okay. Not Max's fault. We get that, but he made the throw, Blake. He showed up to the moment. And that's why, again, it makes it even worse, dude, because nobody deserves it more than this kid. Like, he is, again, we talk about Nico being the cautionary tale. Aguilar is the exact opposite, man. Aguilar
Yep.
is the thing that people that feel like the underdog, that feel like that nobody believes in them, and that don't have all the God-given tools and things of this nature. Look to Aguilar, man. That's the guy. And he deserved to win yesterday. He didn't. That's football. But I agree with you, man. Like, as far as the rest of the season, it's like I think he has the makeup to lead us on this run, potentially. So I don't know. I guess that's another reason for optimism.
Austin, the fireman is officially in the house, baby.
Yeah.
The fireman is in the house. Joey Aguilar, the fireman, is here to play football, and we are. Look, I'm already pumped again, man. Screw the Georgia loss. I'm pumped.
We're over
Let's
it already.
freaking go
No, I'm not over it, people.
No, not at all. I'm not going to be over it for a long time. But let's go into the
Dude,
the rest of the season,
I still
man,
have night
and
terrors
see
about
how it goes.
2022 South Carolina. So better
Oh
believe
God.
I'm not getting over this loss for a while.
Yeah, it's gonna haunt us for a while. But Austin, here's the thing: 2022 South Carolina, that ended up, knocking us out of the playoffs. We still got a long season, brother. So it could end up being devastating and being something that knocks us out of the playoffs, or it could end up being a great season.
Speaking of long season, we still have Florida on the schedule, Blake. And just because we lost to Georgia,
Yes,
Florida, don't think we missed your game. Don't think your
that's
boy
right.
missed the game. And I have to point out, Blake, before we get into victory laps on Florida, we had a Florida fan this week comment on our Florida video. Florida video didn't get a lot of love, but it did find one Florida fan. And he told us, Blake, that it was confidence. They didn't have enough, or excuse me, they overlooked South Florida. So he felt like they were overlooking that game. They weren't hyped enough for the game, and that's why they lost the game. Were they ready? Were they ready for LSU?
Didn't pay off. Didn't pay off.
You weren't ready for LSU? You didn't have enough confidence and hype for LSU? Like, that's a rivalry. Like, you're in Death Valley. But he told me it was just because they were overlooking South Florida, man. They were overlooking South Florida. No, it's because Florida sucks and your quarterback sucks. And I said, man, I didn't know Lagway sucked this bad. I didn't know he sucked bad enough to throw 5 picks in a game, 5 interceptions in a single game he had yesterday, Blake. And LSU only won by 10. Listen, you can say, oh, it's forced turnovers, like what? It's 5 interceptions, dude. The quarterback was helping you win the game. He was like, here you go. Here's the football game.
Yeah.
And we're not going to come
Silver
back.
platter.
We're not going to come back specifically because of me. Like that's how bad Lagway was yesterday. I was sitting here saying, hey, the hype's too much. We should chill on the hype. He hasn't showed us yet. Turns out I wasn't just right about the hype being too much. It turns out he just is playing awful. Like, he's not good at football. So don't think we missed that, Florida.
We did not miss that, indeed. That is the cherry on top of the hate watch therapy session. Yes, Nico's still terrible, hilariously bad, got his coach fired. And yes, Florida continues to be in free fall. Lost to LSU. DJ Lagway, 5 interceptions.
Yep.
Man, again, it doesn't make me feel any better about the Georgia loss, but it does. It helps get your mind off of it, Austin.
It does,
for sure.
It does. And I got the comment wrong. The Florida fan, I messed that up. He said they weren't motivated enough against South Florida. That was motivated. They weren't motivated enough. I couldn't find motivated, but I'm finding it now because I just looked at the comment. They weren't motivated enough. Well, was the motivation there for Louisiana State University at Death Valley? Like, no bigger game than that, buddy. How delusional. And he basically was telling us, because like the whole joke was, Blake, that it's like, hey, please, Florida, extend Billy Napier, please. And he was like, oh, y'all are going to regret saying that. Billy Napier's going to get this ship turned around. Yeah, right, buddy. Are you kidding me? Your coach sucks, your quarterback sucks, and your team sucks, buddy. It's called acceptance. You have to accept these things. We had to do the same thing with Butch Jones, right, Blake? We had to do the same thing when we beat Florida and Georgia that year, and then he crapped the bed against South Carolina and Vanderbilt. It's called acceptance. You have to just it's the stages of grief, man. It's the denial stage.
Grief, yes.
You have to get past the denial stage, dog. He sucks. And I would love for Billy Napier to get extended. And I was standing on that hill. And I will, I'm not going to die on that hill either, because trust me, he's going to be fired after this year. Because, again, the team's awful. Quarterback sucks too.
He might get fired in the middle of the year, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm standing on that hill with you. And look, don't get it twisted, folks. Even if for whatever reason this crazy voodoo is still on us in the swamp, and it doesn't change the fact that y'all lost to freaking South Florida, and then
that's on us. That's not on y'all at this point.
Yeah,
we're the only reason he still has his job, by the way.
Exactly. In fact, it might be a psyop, Austin. If we do lose to them in the swamp, it'll be simply to keep Napier his job, so we can continue to have him as the football coach.
I guess,
folks,
that'll be our narrative if we lose that one.
That's gonna be our narrative for sure. Folks, look, it has been a fun stream, despite the fact that we are deeply, deeply depressed about the Georgia game. Again, Tennessee losing in heartbreaking fashion in overtime to Georgia in Neyland, 44-41. Missed field goal by Max Gilbert as regular time expired. So very depressing, not happy about it. But you know what, Austin, the football season goes on. We had reasons for optimism. We do have reasons for hope for the season. We're going to see how the season continues to progress. We are excited about our quarterback, and yet again, the hate watching delivered. And so not all terrible, all things considered. folks, it would be terrible if you don't smash the like button on the video. Please drop us a like. Drop us some comments if once the live stream ends. We'd really appreciate it if you drop some comments. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on the video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Spotify, folks. Two followers away from 100. That's a nice milestone on Spotify, so please follow us there. One last catch up on chat here. Tyler says, good stuff, guys. On to next week. Games, as they say. Thank you, Tyler, for joining the Vol Talk podcast. Rhonda says, great show, guys. So much fun. I'm glad that we could be fun, Rhonda. Again, it has been a dark week for just the country in general this past week outside of football. So as always, folks, remember to just to love each other and let's focus on football. And we appreciate you guys joining us in this live show talking about Tennessee Volunteer football. It's been fun, Austin. Any final thoughts before we close out here?
No, man, I agree with you. It's nice to have an escape from those things in this podcast. That's the point. Just get our mind off those things. And I second what you said earlier. Focus on Jesus' love for us is very important. And that's what, it's kind of all we can focus on at the moment. And even if you're a non-believer, he does love you. And so, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. And yeah, I'm glad we have the show to get our mind off things. I thought I came into the show not wanting to do the show, Blake, but at least, talk about Nico and talking about all of that. It got my mind off some things. So that's nice. That's nice. Get to move on a little bit from this Georgia loss.
Exactly. It did help a little bit chatting with you guys, even the Georgia fans in the chat. We appreciate you guys joining because it does help. And even with the Georgia loss helps us, at least we're laughing a little bit, Austin. We're dead on the inside, but we're still laughing. But hey, we're going to bounce back next week, folks. We will be reviewing the upcoming game against UAB. So at our normal time on Tuesday, Austin, you and I are going to have to figure out the scheduling for that, folks. Again, my scheduling continues to kind of be a little wonky right now. And so we'll figure that out for the Tuesday show, but it will go on at 8:30 Eastern on Tuesday night. So look out for that. And then, of course, we will review the game after the game on Saturday. So we'll catch you guys on the other side of this week. Until then, folks, as always, go freaking Vols, baby.
GBO.